So verse 6, please. Mahashaya sapta purve chatvaro manavastatha madhava manasa jataha yesham loka imah prajaha. Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavastatha madhava manasa jataha yesham loka imah prajaha. Maharshaya, the great sages, Sapta, the great 7 sages, the ancient 4, and the Manus, with their being in me, were born of the mind. From them are these creatures of the world. There seems to be such a parallel with the verses that we are taking on the Mundaka in this 10th chapter. What a parallel. What a strange coincidence. Now again, here he is explaining the transcendental reality inside and outside. What have emerged from me. So he says you have to understand these terms. These terms have an implication. It implies some things. It's not to be taken literally. So what are the interpretations of these words? Yes, Rajima. So the interpretation of these terms are: the 7 rishis refers to the 5 senses, the mind and intellect. So the 7 Saptarishi, Venkatji, that Saptarishi you can get in the Google. What are the 7 rishis? What are the list of those names? It's there if you really want to know what the list. But what these, did you ask? With the 7 great sages and the ancient 4 names of them.
Yeah, but here the interpretation is different, you are saying, no? Guruji.
Yeah, these, it's an interpretation. You can't take it literally.
Okay.
It's a philosophical implication. So the 7 rishis refers to the 5 senses and the mind and intellect. The ancient 4, the virgin youths, which are acclaimed to be the 4 Sanat Kumaras, no? The Sanat Kumara, Sanaka, Sanata, and Sanananda. Sanandana. Sanandana. So these 4, again, you don't have to take them literally. So these 4 ancient 4 Manus refers to the subtle body. The 4 aspects of the subtle body are Mano, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar. Now, what's the real philosophical meaning which is connected to the 7th mantra? He says, we're born of the mind. From them are the creatures of the world. What you really must be interested is this aspect, not the other first 2 aspects are just symbolic. Now, what does it mean? We're born of the world. The fundamental understanding we have is the entire world that we are experiencing is nothing but a projection of our mind. So the world that we are experiencing is a projection of our mind. Everything is born from the mind, from them are these creatures. So everything else has emerged from your own mind, means the whole world has come from them. Who is origin? The senses, the mind and the intellect. So the entire creation, the creatures, everything is nothing but a figment of my imagination. There is no reality in it. It's all in the mind. How do you substantiate that? When we go to sleep, the entire world and the problems that the world creates us disappears. Whatever the problem we have in the waking world, the problem doesn't exist in the dream world, Samyama. Whatever problem you have, you may say, I have no problem, sir. Correct. You have no problem of any problem. Everything disappears because everything is a projection of your mind. So what is the theorem? We often say this, we have to keep that in mind so that we understand. In fact, as I said, the next verse he is giving. What is the conclusion is that the world is a projection of our mind. But what is the theorem to get to here? No, again, that's nothing but a projection of your mind. What your mind thinks, so you become. As you think, so you become, isn't it? As your mind, so the world. But the theorem is the first step where it all starts, because all these creatures, where did they come from? From Brahman, he said. So the source, the first step is, what is the absolute reality? The absolute reality is Brahma, Satyam, Jagat Mithya. Brahman alone is real. The world that we experience is mithya, is illusory. That's the first step. From the very existence of Brahman, the step 2 comes the non-apprehension of Brahman. Non-apprehension and enti. Non-apprehension means the possibility of not understanding the truth. Ignorance of Brahman exists in Brahman itself. So first is Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. The very existence of Brahman. Brahman exists, isn't it? That is the reality. Brahman, in fact, the Shastras say, Brahman alone is. There exists nothing other than Brahman. There is no second. Advayam. Advayam, non-dual. If you see anything other than Brahman, it is your stupidity. It's your own creation. There nothing exists. So, if that be the truth, and if Brahman alone exists, wherever there is Brahman, out of that Brahman comes a possibility of ignorance of Brahman. So the ignorance of Brahman, or it is known as non-apprehension of Brahman. Where is it? It is inherent in Brahman. The possibility of not understanding exists in Brahman itself, because Brahman is there. Ignorance is like shadow. Huh? So the possibility of not understanding exists in very Brahman itself. So when you do not understand, comes about a misunderstanding. First is the truth. Second is not understanding the truth. Third is a misunderstanding. So the misunderstanding or the misapprehension of the world creates misapprehension as the world. The non-apprehension of Brahman creates misapprehension as the world. So this is the theorem we must have. You got a theorem, Reddy Garu? You got it? How do I know that you got it? Uh-huh.
So we're talking about the understanding the truth, not understanding the truth. One is
First-
the truth.
First is the existence of the truth. Yes.
Next is the not understanding the truth. Third, misunderstanding the truth.
First is the truth.
Yeah.
Second is non-apprehension, means ignorance of the truth. Third is
Misunderstanding.
misunderstanding. So misunderstanding of the truth as the world. If I show you this, you will say, the characteristics. But what they are saying, this is nothing but Brahman. If I show you this and say, what is this? You will describe as the characteristics, but this is Brahman. If I ask you, who is this? You will describe me by my name, by my quality, by your understanding of who I am. You're only describing me of characteristics of me, my gunas, my individuality. But you don't see Brahman in me, do you?
Yes, no.
We don't see. So I see only characteristics. I see individuality. I am only describing matter. Namarupa. I'm not describing the Brahman. So the misunderstanding of the world arises from the not understanding of Brahman, and that comes from the very Brahman itself. This is the theorem. So everything is born from the mind. So what is born from the mind? The world. What is the cause of that? Misapprehension is the world. What is the cause of the world? So misunderstanding is the world. So where did the world come from? Shivaji, your job. From Angaponu. No, his job now is whenever power goes, he has to go on a generator. It's all flickering. It's all on the inverter. It will not last long. We'll have to write to the electricity board at least for this 1.5 hours. Don't switch off the electricity. So we should have this understanding. So what is understanding? The misapprehension is the world. The misapprehension of the world comes from where? Comes from ignorance of Brahman, not Brahman. Comes from non-apprehension. Non-apprehension, where does it come from? Now, non-apprehension is ignorance. Non-apprehension comes from Brahman. But where did the misapprehension come? From the ignorance of Brahman. So what created the world is ignorance of Brahman, not Brahman. The ignorance potential exists in Brahman. The world you are experiencing is Maya. Your problem also is Maya. Your headache also is Maya. Everything is Maya. Maya, all your problems are Maya. Don't make a big mountain of your trouble. Huh? The world is, in fact, you can't say that the world is created by individual. How would you say in the dream world? Did the dreamer create the dream world? The dreamer did not create the dream world. Who created the dream world? The waker's mind. So the dreamer also is a part of the dream. Similarly, you can't say the waker created the waking world. The waker did not create. Just like another dream. You can't say the dreamer created the dream world. No, dreamer also is a part of the dream. So also is the waker part of the creation. You can't say waker stood out of the world and created the world. No, waker also is a part of the creation. Isn't it? So the whole thing, when we go into sleep, the waker and the waking world both disappear into deep sleep. It's not only that waker disappears and waker is apart from it. No, the waker is a part of the waking world, just like the dreamer is a part of the dream world. So what we come to a point is the whole platform for the creation is avidya. This is what they're trying to say. So he's just establishing it. Next mantra, he seals it. What is the whole base where the whole world has come about is avidya. Avidya, ignorance. Ignorance, vasanas. Vasanas is nothing but unmanifest desires. Manifest desires is your mind. When your desires are manifested, it's your mind. Mind is nothing but desires. Where did the mind come from? Mind has come from the vasanas. What is vasanas? Vasanas is ignorance. Where did ignorance come from? From the very Brahman itself. That's the theorem we are saying. Sanjay, following? Brahman, non-apprehension, misapprehension. Following Vengatji?
Some confusion is there, but I'm trying to follow.
Where is the confusion, sir?
No, so let me just summarize my understanding. We are saying Brahman is the truth, which we are ignorant of, and that ignorance is leading to a misunderstanding. Is that right?
Yes. You're right.
Okay.
Where's the confusion?
No, I'm just trying to absorb it. So we are saying it is a truth, but we are ignorant. So if we are ignorant, then where is the question of misunderstanding? Anyway, we are ignorant.
No,
Are we interpreting it differently just because we are ignorant? Is that what we are saying on the misunderstanding part, the third part?
Yeah. Could you come again on the third part, please?
So one is Brahman is a truth, but we are ignorant.
Yes.
So since we are ignorant, are we trying to misinterpret, and that is how this whole misunderstanding is coming?
Correct.
Okay.
The whole confusion or the world has come about because of the misunderstanding. You have not understood the truth. You have not apprehended the truth. Then you have misunderstood the truth. If you understand the truth, there is no misunderstanding. So
Okay.
after the first step, if you have understood Brahman as Brahman, is there ignorance of Brahman?
Okay.
There is no second step. There is no third step. But the second and third step comes because you have not understood Brahman. And where does that not understanding come? It comes because the Brahman is there. That proves that Brahman is there.
Okay.
Don't I say, take a simple example. The fact that I have explained a concept, or I took a class, you have not understood a concept and misunderstood it.
Okay. Got it.
Let's say the satsang did not happen. I did not speak at all. Is there a possibility of not understanding or misunderstanding? There is no possibility at all. So the fact that you have not understood and misunderstood, it establishes that there was a satsang. It establishes the existence. So now what we are doing, our entire effort is to come out of the misunderstanding, remove the not understanding, and get back to Brahman. So we are trying to go back. So the root cause of the creation of the world is avidya, ignorance. So we are saying avidya, ignorance, and vasanas are one and the same. Avidya is nothing but ignorance, ignorance nothing but vasana. And when the vasanas express, they express in the form of desires which constitute the mind. So the world you are living is projected by your mind. So that's the connection between Brahman, non-apprehension, misapprehension. Getting it? So misapprehension is the dream and waking. Is the board usable? Oh. Then nothing like putting it on board, then you will get it. So what we are saying, step one is the first step is Brahma Satyam and Jagat Mithya. What does it mean? Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya means Brahman alone exists. If you see anything other than that, it is illusion, non-real. Now, the misunderstanding or the misapprehension is, what is misapprehension? Oh, sorry, not misapprehension. It is the non, correct. Non-understanding or non-apprehension. What is it? Avidya, which is ignorance, which is vasanas, which is also known as deep sleep. In deep sleep, that's avidya. Now, from this non-apprehension, Venkaji, what comes?
Misunderstanding.
There is no dash here, no? One word. The misunderstanding or misapprehension, which is you can say it as the desires and the mind which projects the waking maybe power has come back. Venkaji, never mind. Everything's avidya. Forget it.
So many power cuts in Sanikpur.
Too many power cuts.
Yeah.
But we should try and see if this can be connected to the thing. So this doesn't keep switching off, no? Ah. So what the last part I was writing is the misapprehension is the desires, which is nothing but the mind which projects the waking world and the dream. So the world that we are experiencing now, as we said, is a projection of our mind. So how do you take over the misunderstanding? The misunderstanding is only a product of not understanding. So if I address the not understanding, there will be no misunderstanding. If I take care of the part two, There's no misunderstanding. So if I address avidya, I will go back to point 1, which is apprehending the truth. That's all. இந்த டிவியும் நம்ம யூபிஎஸ் கொடுத்துடலாமா? It will not switch off like that. இல்லையா? But then this, right? Hey, she'll do it. நீங்க போங்க. She knows how to on it. All right. Verse 7. Huh? No, it will not say. Just like the Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya is a rope, rope is the reality. Ignorance of the rope is non-apprehension. Misapprehension is the snake. And the problems of the misapprehension is the fear of the snake and the poison that the snake has stung you. All the problems. Unnecessary anxiety we have in the world. Unnecessary attachments we have to the world. Unnecessary problems. Why? Is your created your world. Does that world exist for me? Does Shiva's world exist for Soumyama? Does Soumya world exist for Pushpama? So Pushpama's problems is her creation. Shivaji's problems are his creation. My problem is my creation. Setuji's problem is Setuji's creation. How can you say it is your creation? It is your mind that's projecting. Your world doesn't exist for the other. So there is a world that ends with, the world starts with me and ends with me. What is reality for me is not a reality for you. For a drunkard, the alcohol is a problem for me. It is not a problem for me. For a drunkard, addiction to alcohol is a problem. The moment the sight of alcohol, he can't stand, no control. He becomes a victim, he suffers. That is not the case with me. I may have an addiction to something else. You get it? So entirely the world is choreographed and created and rehearsed in your mind before it's created outside. It is the mind that projects the world. If I can take care of the mind, I have taken care of the world. Each one in their own world. Hope we are all in one world now. Don't say I'm in my world, you're in your world. It doesn't apply now. So you take care of the thoughts, you're taking care of the world that you got trapped into. How to get out of the trap of the world I've got into? Take yourself out of the thought here. It's like saying, when I am in the theater and I see something projected on the screen, there is a blemish or some imperfection on the screen. Would I go and rub the screen? Or would I rub the glass of the film where there is a dirt on the film or the projection? The projector, there's a glass. From there it's being projected. Because there is a dirt on the glass, the dirt is being seen on the screen. I'm going and cleaning up the screen. I'm changing the screen. Hey, you tell that fellow, hey, put a new clean cloth, man. It's too old. Makeup to the mirror, Madhuri. It's not there. So remove the thing here. So if we go with the theorem that the entire world is my mind, and that mind is a product of the ignorance in the form of vasanas. So remove your vasanas. There is no, if you go backwards, you hit Brahman.
some get agitated with the happening. Some are indifferent, some are at peace with whatever is happenings in the world.
Could you come again, sir?
No, this each one looks at the happenings in the world very differently. So because they are agitated, they think the world is also agitated, or some are indifferent to happenings. They just withdraw. Some are at peace. So this because many get agitated with the politics. Whatever is happening, they get the world is doomed, or this man has come, that man has come, and all that, because it is in his mind.
It's in his mind.
Hmm.
Correct. The same world is
Some
different.
don't see news at all. They are not interested in reading newspaper or TV and social media. So for them, their world is different.
Yeah, in our own world. Each one is their own world.
And the same thing, everyone looks at it differently. Same happening. Because of the mind.
It's all because of the mind. Some gives it no value. Some gives it a black market value. Who is right? Some person is very traditional. Some person is non-traditional. One is very orthodox. Other one is not orthodox. Who is right? Which world is correct? I am creating a world and I am getting trapped in my own creation of the world. That's the sad part of it. I have set rules. I have become a victim of the rules I have created. We spawn the web, we get trapped in the web. Mantra, verse 7, please. Yes, sir. Use the mic, Houston.
Small clarification. Says Brahman is the rope which exists.
Yes.
Non-apprehension of it results in the form of a snake. For us, we misunderstand. We non-understanding is a snake. And you said it is nothing but avidya.
Misunderstanding is the snake.
Misunderstanding the snake. And it results in avidya. It is due to avidya.
Correct.
And then you said it's the ignorant state and vasanas also because of that. And you said deep sleep.
Yes.
In fact, is it not that the deep sleep only one is without any vasanas? It's latent. It may come, it may not come. It's supposed to be the absolute state. The deep sleep state is many times by, it's all said it is as good as Brahman because you have no ego. There is no existence. You don't exist in deep sleep.
What? You exist. Who is with you?
There's one exists which makes everything to exist. That is the Brahman. There's no doubt, which only powers all the other aspects.
Yes.
You are waking, dreaming state. In the deep sleep state, you don't have any power. Is it not an absolute state?
Sir, why it's not absolute state is because it's only temporary state.
Yeah.
It unfolds.
It
So it's
also
like-
comes for
it's
us,
like
short
a-
duration goes.
It's like if I'm reminded in the center, there is a drumstick tree. You all have enjoyed the drumsticks now and then. There are certain sections of the tree I don't have access to, so the drumsticks have dried up
Dried up, please.
and the seed keeps falling down. Now, when I show you the seed and the tree, what is the difference? You
This
say
is-
tree is manifested, it is
Manifested.
alive, it is yielding,
Yes. Whereas this is the unmanifest.
unmanifest. But if I plant that seed, does it not have the potential to create a tree?
Yes,
Does it not have potential to create innumerable seeds?
definitely.
So this is bijam. The seed is the vasana. That seed or vasana is the cause for creation. That is why the bijam is called avidya. ignorance. If you roast that seed,
It doesn't.
it loses its capacity to germinate. That is Brahman. That's called, therefore, it's called seedless seed. Causeless cause. So, deep sleep is not, it is akin.
Akin.
Akin means it is the
Closer to.
experience. No, closeness. Okay, if you want to use the word closeness, it is the closest experience of what is that state of realization, but it is not
It
realization.
is not definitely.
It is not realization. In fact, deep sleep state is not, cannot be said it's a perfect state. No, because it is. Correct. The difference
That is, with awareness is a realist person. Without awareness is normal person who sleeps every day. He gets into deep sleep also, but not knowing that he gets into that state.
it is only compared to give us a glimpse of what is that state of perfection. That's all. Nothing more than that. Okay. Right. Sanjay?
Guruji,
Yeah.
sorry, I just want to check one thing. When we say the world starts and ends with us,
Could you be a little louder, please?
oh, when we say that the world starts and ends with me,
Yeah.
we're talking only about the non-physical world, right? I just want to clarify that we're talking about the non-physical world only.
What do you mean non-physical world?
Like there's certain aspects of the world because there's certain aspects of the world which surely we can't say is just a projection of this mind. And this is where sometimes I get stuck in other discussions about this. That I understand at a mental level, the world starts and ends with me. How I project someone, how I project something happening. Do I let it upset me or not is something that I can control. But then there are also certain things that seem clearly beyond my control, whether that's, laws, external laws being imposed on us, certain things that are out of my control, like wars. So these are things that aren't surely projections of my mind. They are a reality, but it's a different level of reality that we're talking about here as being a projection of my mind. So I just want to understand what is this world that we're talking about that starts and ends with me? Does the question make sense? Sorry if it doesn't.
No, it makes absolute sense. What I'm repeating the question. What you're asking is there are certain realms which exist because of my creation. But then there are existence of certain world which I have got nothing to do with. For example, the war happening in Ukraine and Russia. What have I, you may say, sir, what have I got to do with that world? But yet the world exists there. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's a good example.
Hmm?
Now I understand that my understanding of that war can be different. That's within my space. I accept that. I don't have to listen to the news in such a way to let it distress me or anything, but the fact is it's still happening, but I can't say that that war was something that I projected into the world. I can choose how I reflect that war in my internal space, sure, but I didn't create the war. It wasn't a projection of myself. So I just want to understand what's the line that we're drawing on this world, that this is the part that I project, that I create, and this is the part that I don't, that I haven't.
See, what happens when you go to sleep, to the war?
It's still
Does the
it's
war
still there.
exist for you in dream or in deep sleep? The war doesn't exist for you. So if you say that you don't have, you say, somebody can say, I've never heard of, are they in a war? Oh, I never knew. There are people who can say that. So it didn't exist for them at all. See, to understand this, there's something called as a theory of perception. In Vedanta concepts, this theory of perception is explained. If I were to bring a flower, or let's say if I bring a fruit to Sanjay, if I show the same fruit to an elephant, if I show the same fruit to a donkey, if I show the same fruit to an ant, a donkey, an elephant, and Sanjay, how does the ant perceive the fruit? How does a donkey perceive that fruit? How does elephant perceive the fruit? How does Sanjay perceive the fruit? So in that perception, there are two essential qualities. One is the quality of the object. The second is the thought of the object. So the quality of the object must perfectly match with the thought of the object to create a right perception of the object. That is, when you perceive the object is reality. Imagine you don't have the right perception or no perception at all. Then you will say, I don't know what it is. But you're asking, without me having perception of the object, does the object exist? For whom? Yeah, the object may have a relative reality of its own. But as far as you're concerned, doesn't exist for you. Because you don't have the thought. So the thought of the object must match with the quality of the object to create a perception of the object, that reality. For any experience, there's a thought of the object, the quality of the object, and then there is a marriage to bring about a perception. So to the extent you have a thought of the world, to that extent the world becomes a reality. The world doesn't exist as far as you're concerned because you have no thoughts of it. So I am told 2 minutes walk or 5 minute walk from the institute. Sanjay, did you know it when you came to the institute? Did you know that round the corner there is a, what do you call that? Huh? Okay. Next to the vegan restaurant, there is a, next to that, bar. He knows about the bar, you did not know about the bar. That tells a lot about Jayama to us. Did you know that there was a bar around the corner there? Sanjay?
No.
That
No.
world doesn't exist for you.
Mm.
Have you projected that world? No, you don't have. So the world, it's there around the corner, but it doesn't exist for me. So the world that you live in is purely defined by the thoughts. If you are an alcoholic, you live in an alcoholic world. If you are a sportsman, you live in a sports world. If you are a musician, you live in a musician world. Students' mind, students' world. A businessman's mind, a businessman's world. So when you change the nature of the mind and remove the thoughts completely and reach a state where there is no mind, there is no world. Now you're asking, sir, that world independently exists? No, I am not, nothing to do with it. Am I responsible for the creation? But it doesn't exist as far as you're concerned. It only exists, the world that you experience has to have the thought of the object, the quality of the object. If the thought of the object is not there, that world relatively doesn't exist. Relatively doesn't exist for you. It may have a reality of its own. The war may be happening next door to you. Your neighboring country is in war, but it has no concern, relevance to you. So that world means nothing to you. If you don't understand this, temporarily, the waker's mind is asleep in dream. What happens to the food you have eaten that night? The food in your stomach doesn't satisfy the hunger of the dreamer. Actually, you overate that night. Because mom has made, or your wife has made chola bhatura for you. So chola bhatura, you had 2 more bhatura with little more chola. So what happens? The chola bhatura, you are not able to sleep, but you are tossing in the bed in the waking state, but you sort of gone to sleep and you're dreaming. As a dreamer, you are starving. You haven't had a proper meal for a few days. So the food in the stomach doesn't satisfy the hunger of the dreamer, and the dreamer is figment of the waker's mind. Because the thought or the food of the waker is not available to satisfy the dreamer's hunger, because the different thoughts. All you got to see, Sanjay, is how your mind is playing a role in projecting the world, in drawing the parameters of the world, and beyond that, that world may exist. It has an object, has a relative reality, no doubt, yes. You can't say, just because I don't think of the tree outside, that I don't say, I'm not like a magician saying suddenly I say, I create a world out of nowhere. No, it's not that. There has to be the object. Like if I show this pen to you, you see the pen, Sanjay?
Yes.
The object has to be there. The thought of the object has to be there in your mind. The object and the thought must match for you to see or perceive the object. If I say there is no object and I say, do you see the object? It's not like magic that you create a world of magic and you see the world. It's not that. There has to be that object existence and the marriage. Yes, I agree that there is a world beyond your parameters. There is the world that is there. But only when my mind participates, that is when the world wakes up to me. That is when the world is real to me. Pass the mic, or get hold of the mic. You get me, Sanjay? But when when the thought doesn't participate, the perception doesn't happen. So the world doesn't exist as far as you're concerned. Whether it has a relative existence, does the objects exist? Yes. Because you are in that world, you have to play by the rules of the waking world. You can't say, oh, it is not there. Oh, it is there. All the wealth all your savings in your waker's savings bank's account, where is it to the dreamer? Can you repeat, sir, using the mic? It's on, it's on.
During deep sleep,
Yes, sir.
can we say the world doesn't exist for the,
Even in dream, it doesn't exist. In the dream also, it doesn't exist. Your wife next to you doesn't exist in the dream. She doesn't exist. As I said, the food you have eaten doesn't satisfy. You can be a healthy man. In the waking state, you can be dreaming as a
sick man?
You can be a sick, you can be an impaired person. You're an elderly person in the waking state, you can be a young teenager in the dream. Possible. There is no connection between the three worlds. They are completely distinct worlds. And when you are in one world, that world alone exists.
Can we say during deep sleep, mind doesn't exist?
No mind. Temporarily no mind. That's why you say everything goes into sleep mode. There's no expression at all.
What about dream, during dream?
Dream is partial expression. Leibniz, a German philosopher, he says life sleeps in plants, dreams in animals, wakes in a man. German philosopher Leibniz, he says life sleeps in plants. Life sleeps in plants, it dreams in an animal and wakes in a man. Means it is full manifestation in a human. It's partial manifestation in an animal. There's no manifestation in a plant. It sleeps in plants. Sure. So Sanjay, just to conclude my thoughts, the world has a relative reality. When you're in the waking state, play by the rules or the law of the waking state. It exists. But your perception is when your thoughts match with the object which has a certain quality or an attribute, that is when you perceive. Just because the object exists and you don't have the thought of the object, as far as you're concerned, you have no perception of the object. So as far as you're concerned, that world there isn't for you. To extend that thought, I'm only saying, when you go to dream, the world is very much there. Your house you're sleeping in, the country you're living in, the rules and the laws, all that you're talking very much exists. Even when you're asleep, because when you wake up, you are still back in the same country, in the same land where you slept. But for those 6 hours, all those rules and laws and all that you abide by doesn't exist for a dreamer. So what is happening? Your thoughts are completely absent. So the world, I'm only magnifying it, that world that you say existed, doesn't exist for you in the dream. Exactly the same way. You keep changing the pattern of your thoughts, the nature of your thoughts, the quality of your thoughts. The company you keep automatically changes. The world you live in automatically changes. Okay. Ready, Garu?
Guruji, in the context, when we're talking about the avidya and not knowing many things, sometimes it appears to me like we are just like an ants. Okay, even though we were talking about evolved intellectuals in the mind, in comparison with the what's been happening in the world, what's been unknown things are in the world. Like last week, I was reading an article on the astronomy. About 300 million light years away, there is a water planet. The planet is full of water, which is 3 times the size of the Earth. 1 light year is we talking about 1 light second is 3 lakh kilometer, and 1 light year is equal to 3 trillion kilometers.
3 trillion.
3 trillion kilometers in 1 light year. And we're talking about 300 million light years away. There is a water planet. Like what are we talking about? The exploration about the what's been there in the world, in the universe. The unknown facts are much more than the known facts. It's the in relative comparison of what we know. It's absolutely insignificant.
Absolutely.
So much of challenges, so much of ego, so much of we trying to create an attributes towards it. But in the end, I think it's been a speck of a dust what we know.
So in what context are we taking it?
Now, what we are trying to say that the amount of knowledge we possess, like not knowing a bar in the next lane or what could be the thing which we're talking about, there are much more things which are not really we are aware of as a humankind. Right? Is we not that we are absolutely in avidya world? What I mean to say, knowing is little fraction. When you totally discount it what we know.
No, but avidya here is.
I mean to say about the ignorance part. The
Yeah.
level of ignorance in comparison to the knowing. So
But
much.
here, avidya is being taken as avidya, ignorance of Brahman. It's not worldly knowledge.
Mhm.
You may know all the worldly knowledge, but it is ignorant. Sorry, it's the ignorance of the rope that has created the snake. No, I may know everything around it, but that particular thing I misunderstood. There is the snake that's come about. So avidya here is reference to Brahman, not in general avidya, which is very true. What we know is fractional compared to what we do not know.
Yes.
It's staggering. 300 million,
Million light years away.
million light years away, there's something. There's so much that we do not know. But the word ignorance here is in connect only to Brahman. Avidya, ignorance of Brahman. Okay, sir? Yes, Sitiji? Yeah, it's on.
Guruji, this Janaka Maharaj had a dream in which he was shown as a beggar. So next day he asked his court to say whether I am a really king or a beggar. So the wise man tells him both are dreams. Neither you are king nor the you are. Same way, the sun sets what is visible to us, but actually sun doesn't rises. Sun neither rises nor sets.
What appears to us as a
Yeah.
rising and setting.
Yeah. Because we go by what appears, what is not manifested. Yes.
Sorry?
What we are able to see and what manifests is science. What is not is wisdom, because it's much.
They are saying, no, where science ends, that's where Vedanta begins.
Vedanta begins.
Because it goes into realms unknown.
Unknown.
Take the mic. You yourself can.
Guruji, did you see Brahman when you went for trekking?
I brought it, locked it up in my locker, I put it. Out of context question, I'll answer later on. Verse 7. Shigrama Bodunga, before anybody asks any question. Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo veti tattvataha so vikampena yogena yujyate natra samshayaha etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo veti tattvataha so vikampena yogena yujyate natra samshayaha. He who in truth knows this supreme manifestation and my yoga, which is the union, he becomes established in the unshakable union. Avikalpena yogena, unshakable union. Yujyate natra samshaya. There is no samshayam, no doubt. What no doubt? There is no doubt that you will remain in that, get established in the unshakable union. Who gets established in the unshakable union? He who understands the truth behind the manifestation and me. So what is the relationship between me and my manifestation? Pushpama, what is he who knows the relationship between me and my manifestation? Union means yoga. He who knows the marriage between me and my manifestation, he is established in the unshakable union. Mike వచ్చేసింది మీకు నో అంటే ఎలా క్వశ్చన్ అడిగితే ఆన్సర్ ఇవ్వాలి మీరు ఇంకో మైక్ కూడా వచ్చింది
Check.
He who knows the union is in yoga with God.
Manifestation is the word. Antena?
Manifestation of the world.
is the world.
And
Me
manifestation
is Brahman.
Brahman.
He who understands the union between the Brahman and the world. Now, what is the understanding between Brahman and the world? Till now we examine verse 6. What is the relationship? He knows the reality. He who knows the reality means
Maya. He knows
what is the relationship?
who he knows that it is Maya, himself and there's no
He who knows the relationship between Brahman and the world. What is the relationship? The relationship is that the world has emerged because of ignorance of Brahman. That is the relationship. Many people say God created the world. God did not create the world. God cannot create the world. God has no interest in creating the world. Can you build an empire without knowing to build an empire? Without
But
wanting to build?
But Brahman and God is taken as similar. Instead.
No, well, very well, God is within you, but many people claim that the world is created by God. Don't you say so? This is what he's saying. He who knows in reality the union. The union is what he said in the previous mantra. The world is a projection of your mind. And the mind is misapprehension. The cause of misapprehension, non-apprehension. What is the cause of non-apprehension? Existence of Brahman. That's a theorem. We got that. So the real relationship between Brahman and God, God did not create the world. Ignorance of God created the world. Now, what is the logic we can give to say God did not create the world? Gayatri, explain. How do you say? Quickly, Pushpa is giving away the mic. How do you say? On your camera. Gayatri, tell me, what is the logic we can give that God has not created the world?
Is that there is so much of disparity and this thing, so he has not created it. It's only our projection of our mind.
Disparity between Brahman and the world. Huh?
God does not have any desire to create a world.
See, when you say that if God has created the world, any creation there has to be a desire. So if you say God created the world, are you planting desire into God? First fallacy. How can you say God, you bring down a God to a level of a mortal? Huh? அந்த பகவானுக்கு காமம் இருக்கா? ஆசை இருக்கா? இருக்காது இல்லையாமா? How can God have a desire or kama? Without kama, there is no creation. Without desire, there cannot be creation. So if you say God created the world, you're planting desire into God, first mistake. Second is you must say he identified with the desire. How can if there is no desire, how can there be identification? Like a painter has a desire to paint, but he's not painting all the time. Every time he sees a wall, he doesn't go and paint, does he? No, he has to identify with the urge. So there has to be that urge and the identification. So bring down God to a level of mortal. So therefore, the logic is no God created the world. So God is not interested in you or your world. Please understand that. It's only our own feeling we say, oh, by Lord's grace, by God's blessings. No God, no Lord, no divine grace. He is not the problem. In fact, the problem is not God. The God is, no, sir, we are just trying to pass the buck to God. We don't know, first of all, who he is. We're simply blaming him and saying he is responsible for everything. God has got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Sir, I am being very specific to the verse. What is the relationship between Brahman and my manifestation? The manifestation of the world has got nothing to do with Brahman. Just like the snake has got nothing to do with the rope. You go and ask the rope, did you create the snake? The rope will say, what snake? You go, fellow, mad fellow, what snake are you talking about? The rope will say, isn't it? So you go to Brahman and say, it's like you go to sun god, S-U-N, you said, sun never rises or sets. You go to sun god and say, where were you yesterday night? Imagine you, Setuji, you are having a one-to-one conversation with sun god, Surya, sun god. You go and ask sun god, where were you yesterday night? What? What is night? There is no existence of darkness where there is sun. So it doesn't know what you're talking about. So where Brahman is, there is no world. It's avidya. Where there is light, there is no darkness. Where there is ignorance, there is no vidya. Where there is vidya, there is no vidya. So Brahman and world are two extremities. And they have nothing to do with each other. The problem is we're connecting. And the connecting is, we are not connecting rightly. There is a connection. The connection is mentioned in this mantra, but people don't interpret this mantra correctly. Therefore you go, see, God created the world. He who understands that God, the Krishna Bhagavan created the world, his avatara created the world, Rama created the world, XYZ created the world. He who understands that, he is Rovikampena Yogen. He who understands that, Vijyatre Natra Samshaya is without doubt established. Wrong interpretation. It is not. The association is there is no relationship with the world. In fact, what we are trying to establish is there is no cause and effect relationship between God and world. You can't say just like a mango seed produces a mango tree, just like a chicken produces an egg. You can't say Brahman produced the world. Brahman produced the world like rope produces snake. Not like mango seed produces mango tree. No. Not like chicken produces egg. No. That is not the connection. So he who understands. So to understand this, you must rack your head. It's not a straightforward, illiterate statement, say God created the world. Any rickshaw fellow, tanga fellow will say God created the world. Is that all wisdom is about? That's no big deal to say God created the world. And if any Swami is sitting out there saying God created the world, he's making a fool of himself and you. That is not the truth. The truth is this, to make you understand, it is your ignorance is creating the world. Because for a man of realization, there is no world. Like for a waker, there is no dream world. There is no, as Gayatri said, there's disparity there. The word Brahman is where and what the world is. He who is established in this understanding, in this reality, and puts every effort to get back to it, to say that Brahman, Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, that hold on to that theorem. Once you hold on to that, then this section of the mantras are very clear. Everything has come out of my own ignorance. It's all a play of my vasanas, it's a projection of my mind. If I empty the mind and where would I get back to? I get back to Brahman. Amani Bhava. Mindlessness is perfection. No asana, we get back to the soul, Brahman. There is no doubt about it. Only the wise. How do you get to that? Is to gain knowledge of Brahman. If there is avidya, what you need to do, you gain vidya. No, knowledge is not this transaction. The knowledge is, what is the knowledge? What is gaining knowledge of Brahman mean? Reddy garu? Huh? How do you know? Oh, thank you, sir. You explained very well. I understood now. That is not knowledge. This transaction doesn't give knowledge to you. What would give knowledge to you? Real knowledge is Brahmamurtam. The real knowledge of Brahman is between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. But you got to do it. Nobody can give that experience of Brahman to you. I can teach you, but I can't give you that vision. A guru can only give you jnanam. A guru cannot give you a vijnanam. That churning, so you got to do it yourself. So the real knowledge of Brahman dawns, that wisdom comes only in the early hours. That's why I said, what knowledge? Knowledge is not about understanding. It's to digest it. Correct.
I
Yes, sir.
have want to clarify something.
Please, sir.
Somewhere I read that you said that God never produces the world. But Bhagavan Krishna says, without me, nothing will move, even in the garbham, to produce, it is me who does it. So without me, no bijam grows. So he says, without me, nothing happens. I mean, I want to clarify this. I don't know whether I am right in understanding or.
Right. What you're asking is not Brahman responsible for everything? So for any creation, there are 3 causes for any creation. One is the material cause. Second is the effective cause. The third is the instrumental cause. I don't know when we last explained this. In any creation, sir, these 3 causes are essential. For the creation, example, for creation of a mud pot, what is the material cause? The clay or mud, right? Correct? What is the efficient cause? Okay. The instrumental cause, you can put this 2 and 3, but never mind. What is the instrumental cause? The potter's wheel. And then the efficient cause is potter. Correct? Now, instead of the mud pot, what is creation for the world? What is the material cause for the creation of the world? Life. Life is the mud pot, the world. The world of things and beings is the. What is the material cause? Venkatji, any idea? There are a few comments coming. Annapurnama is saying Brahman is not bound by time, space, etc. I don't know which context you said that. Venkaji, what could be the material cause, instrumental cause, and efficient cause?
Material cause is it desires, something like that.
Huh?
Desire, material cause.
Then instrumental cause?
Instrumental cause, here it is potter. So there it is. No, Guruji, not sure for the instrumental cause.
All right. Sorry, sir? I think germination of what? Of desires. What the Shastras are saying is what you said. The material cause is Brahman. The instrumental cause is Brahman. The efficient cause is Brahman. Everything is Brahman. Now, this is what the context of you're saying. But this does not mean Brahman is responsible for the creation. Abba, the logic and conclusion are wrong. Or logic or conclusion, how can you get into? You can't get into the conclusion and say, therefore, okay, after all the conclusion, you can't say, therefore, God created the world. Now, can you say that? Can you conclude because of those arguments? Oh, he is the efficient cause, instrumental cause and efficient cause. Therefore, without him, nothing happens. Therefore, he is responsible for the creation. No. You cannot say that. If you say that, as we said, you're planting motive to God. You're planting desire in God. God is motiveless, desireless. So how can he create it? Therefore, then what created? Then they say, ignorance created the world. This has to sink in. Until this sinks in, you will keep going in circles. There you will be going chakkar. You will not understand the real crux of the philosophy. Temporarily deep sleep, no world, avidya. In dream, you are in a different world. In Turiya, permanently no world. Without deep sleep, it is difficult to convince you that there is something called a Turiya. So deep sleep gives a philosopher an argument to hold on to say, yes, there is a realm where vasanas are completely absent. What that state is? Because in deep sleep, vasanas are temporarily not absent, not present. So, and the experience, what is that experience of deep sleep? Of Turiya is experienced as a deep sleeper. Because when you get up from sleep, of sound sleep or dreamless sleep, you are so fresh, you're refreshed, you get fully charged. But the same person who wakes up from dream is very disturbed. Not the same person. It's not there's anything wrong with the bed or the weather is hot, nothing. Everything is most comfortable. You are using a thick duvet. 45 degrees, you are wearing a duvet and sleeping. Because very nice 16 degrees you put and slept nicely comfortable. The best comfort, most comfortable bed you can order, you ordered. But problem is, mind is agitated, therefore you can't sleep. It's not because the bed is not comfortable or the bed bugs are biting you. Correct, sir. Not working. Yes, Shivaji.
Our minds which have polluted the world.
Don't pollute the concept I told you so far. God has not created the world. Ignorance of God created the world. Don't
Our,
filter, don't
our
filter what I'm
ignorance
saying.
of God has created.
Huh?
Our ignorance.
No, what is our ignorance? Your ignorance
My
has created
ignorance.
your world. Why you are including me into that? Your ignorance has created your world. The moment you wipe your ignorance, you attain moksha, not me. I target to remove my avidya, I attain moksha. I can take you along to that point, but not give you
can't,
moksha.
no.
So you can take us along, not give moksha. So what creates the world is your avidya. The moment you are avidya man minus vasanas, you get to state of realization. You remove your vasanas, you are guaranteed moksha. So each one of us have got a duty to deal with the vasanas. What am I doing with them? Consciously we have to get rid of them. Consciously we have to don't identify as much as possible. In the, what obligations we have to do, keep doing it. No unnecessary paraphernalia with these desires and vasanas. If we have that kind of a strict policy to deal with our desires and vasanas, we will get rid of them. Otherwise, we are creating a unnecessary, we are unsettling the settled dust. All right, we'll come back. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.